Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bird Notice. Billy here. Leading off, Heston Kjerstad is activated from the injured list. Kyle Stowers is optioned back to Norfolk. And the 2025 schedule is released. But Ryan, what episode number is this?
This is episode 52, which was worn by pitcher Mike Boddicker in his 9 seasons with the Orioles. Boddicker was drafted in the 6th round in 1978 from the Iowa Hawkeyes program in his home state. A Rochester Red Wings Hall of Famer, Boddicker's first full season in Baltimore was in 1983, was a great one, as he went 16-8 with a 2.77 ERA and finished 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting. He made 2 starts in the playoffs, both complete games. Game 2 of the ALCS against the White Sox, a shutout with 5 hits, 3 walks, and 14 strikeouts, for which he was named ALCS MVP, and Game 2 of the World Series, allowing 1 unearned run on 3 hits with no walks and 6 strikeouts. In 1984, Boddicker led baseball with 20 wins, and his 2.79 ERA led the American League, but he finished 4th in Cy Young voting. He made 180 starts with a 3.73 ERA as an Oriole before a July 1988 trade to Boston for Brady Anderson and Curt Schilling, 2 guys who are well known to Orioles fans for different reasons. Boddicker was a Red Sox until 1990, when he won a Gold Glove, before signing a 2-year deal with the Royals, followed by a short stint as a Milwaukee Brewer in 1993, before retiring at the age of 36. In 2019, the Boddicker Foundation was founded to alleviate the financial burden of families fighting the battle of childhood illness, their biggest fundraiser being an annual bourbon raffle to benefit the Hematology Oncology Family Financial Support Fund at Children's Mercy Hospital in Kansas City. Did some research on him, see what he was up to these days. Thought I'd shout out his charity work. Sounded kind of him.
Yeah, donate to Mike Boddicker's charity if you're listening.
Right. You got a 52?
Who else is in the Rochester Hall of Fame? You got any quick ones off the top of your head?
I know Cal's in it. Joe Altobelli. Probably Luke Easter. Marv Foley, manager, probably is in there.
Joe Mauer?
And I don't think he made it. He made a better Hall of Fame.
Yeah, hot off the press. Yeah, so if you're a longtime listener, you know that one of my favorite Orioles teams is the 2007 team. That's the year the Tides affiliation started. One of the more prominent players on that 2007 Tides team that got me to buy stock in the Orioles was relief pitcher Corey Doyne, an 8th-round draft pick out of Lando Lakes High School in Lando Lakes, Florida, by the Houston Astros. The Astros released Doyne in June 2003. A week later, he signed with the Padres. The Padres released Doyne at the end of spring training before the start of the next season. He catches on with the Cardinals in mid-June 2004. He stays in that organization until November 2006 when he signed with the Orioles, which found him on the 2007 Tides, where he made 29 saves in 42 appearances, a 2.23 ERA, 49 strikeouts, and 44 and a third innings pitched, allowing 0 home runs. He only gave up 23 hits and 16 walks, which was good for a 0.880 whip. These numbers earned him the AAA Reliever of the Year award. The 29 saves were the most by Tide since Derek Wallace's 26 in 1996. This earned him his first major league call-up to Baltimore on June 16, 2007, at the age of 25. During his time in the show, he appeared in 5 games, finishing 3 of them, but allowing 6 earned runs in 3 2/3, which was good for an ERA of 14.73, and he eventually returned to the minor leagues in August 2007. And an injury to his labrum would bring an abrupt end to his 2007 season. Doyne returned to the O's organization, but injuries limited him to only 14 minor league games in 2008. His 2009 season didn't start until Memorial Day when he signed with the Nationals and ended 5 weeks later when he was released after allowing 8 earned runs in 10 2/3 while with the Syracuse Sky Chiefs. He finished 2009 in the Atlantic League with the Long Island Ducks, closing out his professional career.
You'd probably be hard pressed to find a lot of O's fans who remember this guy, and I am not one of them.
Yeah, I remember him well. We actually went to a Tides game up in Richmond when the Braves still played there. And I was wearing a Tide shirt and a ball went out of play, and I waved my arms, and Mike Cervenak threw it to me. He was a career minor leaguer. He was on that Tides 07 team. And we were getting ready to leave, and we saw the buses lined up, and, the autograph seekers were around.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife was like, we should get your ball signed. The Tides are getting ready to come out. So I stood there. I got like 8 to 10 ties on my ball, and I saw Corey Doyne there, and there was a save situation in the ninth, and I was like, hey, I was looking for you in the ninth inning, and he was like, I got an impingement in my shoulder. I'm out right now. And I was like, oh, that sucks. And he was like, yeah, you're telling me.
It's nice to have a real conversation with a player instead of being like, hey, can you sign this?
Yeah, it was cool. They signed the ball. I bullshitted with them for a couple of minutes. I usually don't like meeting players, but this just worked out really well on this specific night.
Corey Doyne.
He had potential, just injuries, and never worked out for him.
He's listed at 6'2", 240. That is a solidly built pitcher.
I remember him just racking up saves in that 2007 season. I knew that, the Orioles were really bad, and I was like, hey, he might get a chance, and it didn't work out.
Right. One thing I want to point out when I mentioned Mike Boddicker was a Red Sox, it sounds weird, but that's like actually what they say there. And it weirded me out the first time I heard it, but I made sure I said it because I think it's funny to say a Red Sox.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong. Either Red Sox or Red Sox works there.
Right.
And I think technically the way you did it is correct.
Right. Yeah. When I was living there, I would like read the Globe and stuff, and it was a Red Sox. How does that make sense? But I guess it does to some people.
I remember I was at my grandma's house. It was like 45 minutes away from Boston. And I was reading the Globe the day Pedro Martinez was traded to the team.
Oh.
It was very exciting.
I bet they were excited. Also, speaking of Corey Doyne, is Lando Lakes, Florida, where that like margarine or butter or whatever it is that from there?
Yeah, it has to be, right?
I don't know.
Did they buy the naming rights to the town?
I feel like I always thought Lando Lakes was like Minnesota or something, because they call it the land of 10,000 lakes or something.
Yeah, that would have been my guess.
Which is decidedly not Florida, but I don't know where else it would be.
It's a part of Tampa St. Pete.
Oh, yeah. All right. I found the Lando Lakes Wikipedia, and it says it's based in the Minneapolis-St. Paul suburb of Arden Hills, Minnesota. So I wonder who took it. Who stole the name? Was it the butter or the town of Florida? Did they love it so much in Florida?
Do you think it started in Florida and then they got moved to Minnesota, like the Minnesota Lakers got moved to Los Angeles?
Yeah, right. The Utah Jazz is still the most hilarious name when you think about like Utah and the demographics and jazz, and it's just funny.
Yeah, I was always afraid we were going to see the Nashville Orioles.
Jesus, PTSD.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about those days anymore. I guess that can take us to our next topic, the T. Rowe Price sign.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's replacing the iconic Baltimore Sun sign. I'm going to say there's a 100% chance that next year the stadium will be called T. Rowe Price Park at Camden Yards.
100%.
100%.
Okay. I mean, I've mentioned it before, but I don't care about sponsorships if they use that money to retain players. And we'll never know that if that's the case. If say Gunnar Henderson signs with another team, they can be like, "Oh, well, the sponsorship money wasn't enough." And we'll never know that. But as long as they're using it on the team, which is absolutely not a given, then I'm fine with it.
Yeah, at this point, naming rights are just a necessary evil we've all learned to live with. I tweeted this weekend that I can't go back to a pre-Corbin Burnesless world, and they can call the stadium Shit Park for all I care if they use that money to sign Corbin Burnes.
I would take a World Series win at Shit Park if that's what it took.
Yeah, Ken Rosenthal commented that Corbin Burnes will not be coming back. Did you see that video?
I heard that, and nobody knows for sure, so I'll just leave it at that.
He has ties to the Baltimore media, though, and I've said this, too, that I don't think Burnes will be back next season. I've been saying it since, like, the trade, basically, but the difference between me and Ken Rosenthal is he has sources, and I'm just a guy with a laptop and a microphone.
It's true. But at the same time, I mean, Corbin Burnes is a human, and he might change his mind. Who knows? What if the O's go really far and he enjoys it and they give him an offer that's competitive or if not equal or better, then why would he not?
I'm guessing this is out there because the Orioles probably approached Burnes's camp and were like, hey, what do we need to do to get in the ballpark? And they said 8 years, however, 100 many million. And the Orioles threw up their arms, and that's what Ken Rosenthal heard.
Could be. I'm going to try to not think about that until the season's over. As soon as the season ends, I was going to say as soon as they lose, but that's negative. I'm going to say as soon as the season ends, then I'll think about that.
Yeah, that's the best. Just put it in your back pocket and worry about it another day. Ooh, I'll get to this later. I saw DL Hall pitch today, though, against the Tides.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of Burnes.
Yeah. Massive viewership is up 35% over this time this season. That seems insanely high to me because it's not like the Orioles were bad last season. If you had told me 35% since 2022, that'd be, more understandable because that's when people started getting excited again, was when Adley debuted. But that's a huge jump in 1 year.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe the O's winning and O's fever is more entrenched this year. I don't know.
That shows how hard it is to get back fans after just some brutal losing like that.
Right. And people wonder why John Angelos was miserable. But he was in a death spiral. It was partly because of him. That's
true. That's probably a big reason for the jump also. Not just the product on the field, but just that John Angelos has been sent to Siberia. And now we have Dave from Wendy's handing out hats every night.
Right. I mean, I can totally see somebody being like, the Orioles are on, but like that guy's an asshole and I don't feel like supporting his team. I feel that way about several teams that I root for.
All my teams got new ownership lately, the Commanders and the Hornets and the Orioles.
All I know is the Sabres owner has presided over the longest playoff drought in sports history, tied with the New York Jets. And the Dolphins owner directly cost them a first-round pick, tampering with Tom Brady. So the guy's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, Stephen Ross does not seem likable at all.
No.
The Phillies are the only other team with over 30% growth.
I'm surprised at that just because I feel like the Phillies are one of the teams I would think had like consistent viewership. They're just very established in Philly and they've been competitive at least for a while.
Yeah, and their fans are diehard fans. They're not really wishy-washy.
Didn't they lost in the World Series just like 2 years ago?
Yeah, to Houston.
Yeah, I'm surprised that it's such a big jump from last year to this year, coming off of NL championship.
The 2025 schedule was released. You find anything exciting or noteworthy on this?
I looked at when they're coming to Texas, and that was kind of it.
Yeah, that counts.
I couldn't even tell you when that is anymore, but I did look.
Yeah, I'm surprised they released it so early. Is that so people can plan trips or whatever?
I have no idea. I don't know how many people are planning trips right now for a year out, but
right. That's one thing I hate about the NFL is now they want to switch around games all the time that I wouldn't even feel say like the nearest football team to me is Washington and Baltimore, 3 and 4 hours away. That say if I wanted to buy tickets for a 1 o'clock game in week 9 and then it got flexed to Sunday night, I can't do that.
Right. Aren't there only certain weeks that they can flex, like after week 12 or something? I don't know the rules.
They've gotten a lot more lax with it in the last couple of years.
Okay.
That I do know that, but I'm not sure what the guidelines are anymore.
Yeah, you almost have to plan for like Thursday through Monday because it can be anywhere in that range.
It's nice not being excited about football season in July.
Yeah, right.
The Mariners needed a roster spot when they activated Gabe Spire from the injured list. And this is news to us in Baltimore because the corresponding roster move was a Mike Baumann DFA. He'd since been acquired by the Giants for some sweet, sweet cash considerations. But were you interested in a reunion with Big Mike?
Interested might not be the right word, but it wouldn't have surprised me if it happened. What about you?
Yeah, I don't enjoy watching him pitch, but any roster move that can get Brian Baker off the active roster before the postseason starts is something I'm interested in listening to.
Baker did induce a double play to end the inning today.
He did. He needs about 15 more of those before I.
Right.
And I don't think the Mariners gave up anything in Blake Hunt. He's awkward behind the plate. If he's not hitting, he's not going to be worth the trouble. Kind of like Chance Sisco.
I forgot they even got someone for him. So you've seen him play a few times?
Yeah, he's batting 169 and 65 at bats with 22 strikeouts and no walks since the trade.
No walks.
0 walks.
That's awful. So his on base percentage is 169.
His batting average. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same as his batting average.
Yeah.
Because he has no walks.
Yeah. And he's just too big kind of to play catcher. He's not worth getting excited about.
Doesn't sound like it.
And then I missed all of the home run derby. I guess Gunnar did so poorly that they didn't even make a YouTube video for him the next day.
Yeah, Gunnar went 8th in the first round. They didn't have matchups. They just had everybody hit one round in the beginning. He went last and finished with the least amount of home runs.
I never understood the matchup thing. That was always kind of dumb to me.
Right, because they're seeding based on nothing, so it's just pure luck whether you have more than your opponent at that point.
I saw the reaction to the new format was kind of mixed. Did you have any thoughts on the new format?
My only thing is that watching it in person is different than TV. And even on TV, I'd prefer to be able to see where a ball goes and then have them throw the next pitch. But you can at least get a split screen on TV. But when, being there in the stadium was super cool. And I've always wanted to go to a home run derby. But you can't watch two things at once. I want to see where the ball lands. It's fun to see how far it goes. But then by the time you look back at the plate, the other ball is halfway to the outfield again. And you're just constantly, you can't keep track of it,
Just ping-ponging your head back and forth.
Right. Not to mention, this was one of the lamer fields in home run derby recently. There was no Judge or Ohtani or Harper. So many good power hitters weren't in it that, I don't know. It could have been a lot better personnel-wise.
Yeah, I don't know how baseball can get those guys to do it, but they have to somehow. Hey, Oscar Hernandez won.
Right. Nobody's going to remember that. People will remember the terrible national anthem, which was up there with the worst in the history of American pro sports, probably. But
yeah,
people are not going to remember him.
She came out and announced she was going to rehab the next day.
Yeah, I hope she gets the help she needs. But at the same time, I was talking with somebody about this today. If she was a superstar and had a bad anthem, you wouldn't really remember that so much. You'd be like, oh, I still love this other work she's done. I know 4 of her albums or whatever, but I had no clue who she was. I feel like a lot of people probably didn't know, and now that's what she'll be remembered for. So that sucks.
Yeah, this was her introduction to baseball fans, at least.
Right. The guy who sang it for the game was a country singer I've never heard of. The fans loved him, so he's clearly popular in the country realm. But he did a good job.
I forget how popular country music is. It's something I've never listened to. I was out and about the other day, and I heard within 20 minutes, I heard 4 different people listening to country music. And Virginia Beach is not like a country music hotbed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, what's going on with? Is it having a resurgence?
I don't think it's a resurgence. I think it's been popular for a long time. I've just never liked it.
Yeah, me either. The Midsummer Classic was on Fox again this year. Did you happen to watch it?
Yes, I watched it live. My one and only All-Star game for pro sports, that is. But it was, it was really cool to be there. It was something I've always wanted to do since I was a kid. I vividly remember watching some of those All-Star games when I was younger, and just made it a point, since I'm living in Dallas, that the game was right down the road, and I was going to make sure I went, and it was fun.
Yeah, I liked your tweet that said the most talent you'll ever see on a field at one time. I hadn't thought of it like that. That's totally true. You'll never beat that.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that when I was at the game. Even if you are lucky enough to go to a World Series game, there's only a handful of guys in that would be all-stars. So it was really cool, just the concept of seeing all of them on the same field, and made sure I got there for player introduction. So I barely made it, and I sat down, and then they started. But I've always enjoyed that, just seeing all the different players get introduced along the baselines. And granted, they're not in their own uniforms, but it was cooler back in the day when they did that.
Yeah, the uniforms were tragic this year. Hopefully they were bad enough to put a stop to that. I understand why they wanted to try it, but it just doesn't work. Baseball is at its best in their own uniforms. Even the City Connect thing isn't working now. I don't understand. It's such great advertising for your own look and brand in your own uniform and something like the All-Star game. These uniforms were just straight trash.
They had very much a Miami vibe to it, and it was in Texas. I don't understand how that came about, but I'm sure it was originally a money grab why they decided to make completely different uniforms for the All-Star game, but they can't make that much off of them. There can't be that many people who desperately want to buy an All-Star jersey. So you would have to think that the small amount of money that baseball is making off of this is not worth people being like, this blows, you need to change it.
They were when I first saw them, I knew they were bad, but when you saw them in the game, it hurt. It hurt me.
You couldn't even read the American League were that cream color, and they had bright orange font. You can't read that. Who's doing this? Nobody with any type of I don't even want to say graphic design, because it's not even that advanced. Just logic. I don't know.
No, yeah, there's softball uniforms that are better than what the All-Star game trotted out there this year.
For sure.
So we got Paul Skeens versus Corbin Burnes. Paul Skeens was the 5th rookie pitcher to start an All-Star. We got Paul Skeens versus Corbin Burnes. Paul Skeens was the 5th rookie pitcher to start an All-Star game. Do you have any guesses on the other 4?
I know I saw this that week coming up to the All-Star game, and I'm blanking on who that might be.
Tell me. Of them are Dodgers.
Okay. Valenzuela is probably one.
Yeah.
He was a star right out of the bat.
2 no-hitters.
Don Larson. Clinton
Hideo
Kershaw.
Nomo.
Oh, Nomo. Oh, yeah, he was a sensation. What was he? What was that, 97-ish, I want to say, when he came over?
95.
Really? All right. I'm off on that completely.
Mark Fidrich, 1976.
Okay.
And Dave Steinhaus in 1962.
I don't know him. Mark Fidrich, he was the bird or something, right?
Yeah, he burst on the scene and then got injured and couldn't
fizzled out.
really. Yeah. Steinhaus has an asterisk because there were 2 All-Star games in 1962, and he started the second one.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that on one of our maybe it was for like Frank Robinson or something, because he played in more All-Star games than like years he was in the league or something silly like that. And I was like, how does that work? So I looked it up, and they used to do, the players would put on an extra one to make money for their pension fund or something.
I think it was Brooks because that's when I learned it too.
Brooks, okay.
Yeah. This was the 93rd All-Star game in Major League Baseball history. The American League came in leading the series 47-44-2, while outscoring the National League 383-377.
Pretty close, as you would suspect.
Yeah, that's very close. Then we can recap this game. We're short on games this week with only 3 Rangers matchups and then the All-Star break.
Yeah, let's go for it.
So top third, Tanner Houck from the Red Sox is pitching. Unlikely All-Star Jerickson Profar and Ketel Marte lead off the inning with singles. This brings up Ohtani, making his first appearance with the NL team. And Houck goes down 2-0 before Ohtani crushes one 400 feet to right center to put the National League up 3-0 early. Ohtani became the second-born Japanese player to homer in the All-Star game since Ichiro hit an inside the Parker in 2007.
I do not remember that Ichiro inside the park home run, but I was going to say that was by far the coolest moment for me. Was I don't think I had seen Ohtani play live, and I wanted to see him hit a dong, and he did that, and it was awesome.
Yeah, Ohtani's just so different. I don't get to see him play much either, and anytime I see him play, you're just like, wow.
Yeah. So actually, when we were leaving the game, there was this like journalist with a cameraman. I'm pretty sure they were from Japan. Like, I don't want to like sound racist or something and assume that, but I think that's where they were from, because they were asking us questions like, so like, what was your favorite part? And I was like, oh yeah, like I really liked when Ohtani hit a home run. The interviewer guy like looked back at his cameraman like, hey, you hear that? They like Ohtani.
He's basically telling him, we got it.
Yeah. The Americans love him too. And it's true. I think that guy's awesome. And I was super pumped to see him hit a homer.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how he comes back to pitch next season, because there's a whole other side of him that we're not even able to watch this year.
Right. Like, he's a good pitcher. He's not like Cy Young caliber, but he's way better than average.
The Dodgers need him too. They are bleeding out some pitching.
Yes.
Every week it sounds like a new Dodger starter goes down.
But I think Kershaw's coming back soon.
Yeah, I think I saw he's supposed to start this week, but Yamamoto was just placed on the 60-day IL. He's out till mid-August.
Ouch.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he can come back.
Well, I don't feel bad for the Dodgers at all. I don't want it to sound like I do, but...
And then in the bottom of the third, the Dodgers' rival Giants pitcher Logan Webb is pitching. Simeon starts the inning with a single. Kwan walks on 4 pitches. Gunnar advances his runners with a chopper to Bryce Harper, who makes a nice play at first base. Then Soto hits a 2 RBI double up the middle. David Fry, unlikely all-star from the Guardians, pinch hits for Yordan Alvarez. He singles in Soto. Soto almost got tagged out on the plate on a throw from Profar.
Yeah, that was bad. I don't know if it was Soto's fault or the guy at home like didn't tell him to slide or what, but he just casually trotted home.
Yeah, this tied the game up at 3. Logan Webb threw 31 pitches in the inning.
He did not have his best outing, that's for sure. So in the 4th inning, Agley was struck out by Shota Imanaga, Billy's favorite Cubs pitcher, on what seemed like a bad call on a check swing. Like, if you're in an all-star game, I don't know. I'm not complaining about it because I don't care. But Agley just kind of shrugged and was like, "What?" It's kind of funny.
Yeah, they're not going to argue balls and strikes in the All-Star game.
No, I kind of felt bad for him. It was like, you get your chance in the All-Star game and they call you out on that. But then I was like, he was in it last year and he'll probably be in a few more, so it's okay.
Yeah, hopefully. Speaking of Orioles in the All-Star game, we got Santander with a 2-out single to extend the inning, bringing up Jarren Duran in the bottom of the fifth versus Hunter Green.
Jarren Duran went deep with a 2-run home run, made it 5-3, and this pitch really looked similar to the one that Ohtani hit out. They were both lefties hitting against a righty with a kind of a slider just hanging in the lower inside portion of the strike zone, just begging to be murdered.
This was the first All-Star game home run by a Red Sox player since Adrian Gonzalez in 2011 off of Cliff Lee.
Those are two names that are a blast from the past.
I'm guessing Cliff Lee would have had to have been with the Phillies in 2011. And then in the top of the ninth, Bruce Bochy opted to use Guardians relief pitcher Emmanuel Clase to close things out to give the American League the 5-3 win.
As far as the Orioles' performance, we had Corbin Burnes pitching the first inning, allowing 1 hit, 1 walk with no runs. Orioles batters went 1 for 7 with Santander's single and a run scored, 2 strikeouts, and no walks. So they didn't do anything special, but that's fine.
Yeah, Burnes threw 19 pitches, 11 for strikes. Adley became the first Orioles catcher to start the All-Star game since Terry Kennedy in 1987. And Jordan Westburg was there too.
Jordan Westburg, I believe he struck out. Yes, in the 7th inning.
This was the first time the Orioles had 3 All-Star game starters since 2013 when they had Adam Jones, J.J. Hardy, and Chris Davis.
I thought it was interesting looking at the box score. There were 20 pitchers who appeared in the game. 14 of them threw 1 inning. Nobody threw more than that. 3 pitchers gave up runs. That was Logan Webb with 3 earned runs, Hunter Green with 2 earned, and Tanner Houck with 3. Now, all 3 of those guys were playing in their first All-Star game, so maybe they let the nerves get the best of them.
Yeah, there were a lot of first-time All-Stars. 20 for the National League and 19 for the American League, I think.
I like that. You don't want to just see the same players every year.
That's more of a reason to wear your own uniforms. You have 39 people you're introducing to hardcore baseball fans. If you're watching the All-Star game, put them in their uniforms.
Right.
So they could see them. So they could know, hey, this asshole plays for this team.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Clase became the 4th pitcher with multiple All-Star game saves since saves became an official stat in 1969. You have any guesses on this?
Well, you said last week or the week before that it's always Rivera, so I'm going to guess him with 1.
Yep.
Hoffman and K-Rod.
No, I'll give you Bruce Sutter. The last guy came up recently, I believe on our last episode during the trivia. For his amount of wins and his amount of saves.
Oh, Smoltz or Eckersley. One of them.
Yep, it's Eckersley. The American League is now 28-7-1 since 1988, and Jarren Duran won the Ted Williams MVP award for being named the game's most valuable player, becoming the 5th Red Sox player to be named All-Star Game MVP. You have any guesses on this?
Pedro.
Yep, 1999.
He started that game in 99 and was awesome. I would think probably Ted Williams at some point.
Nope.
Oh.
Which is ironic because the award is named after him.
Right. Carl Yastrzemski.
Yes, 1970.
Ortiz, Manny.
Nope. There's a pitcher and an outfielder.
Clemens
is correct. The outfielder.
Jim Rice.
Nope. You probably won't even remember this guy played for the Red Sox in 2008. Former Phillies draft pick. He didn't sign with them.
JD Drew.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that story well, actually, because my family friend that I used to know on the Cardinals, who was their bullpen catcher, he one time in Philly wore JD Drew's jersey out onto the field during warm-ups so that the fans would actually leave JD Drew himself alone because they didn't actually know what he looked like. But
he was a decoy,
right? Because the Philly fans hated him so much for that.
Yeah. His brother played too, Stephen Drew.
Mm-hmm.
Ohtani's homer was the first by a Dodger in an All-Star game since former Norfolk Tide Mike Piazza in 1996.
Wow.
And at 2 hours and 28 minutes, this was the shortest All-Star game since 1988. And Bruce
I like that.
Bochy, yeah, I love that. The clock is the real MVP.
Right.
Bruce Bochy becomes the second manager to win an All-Star game in both leagues, joining Tony La Russa. So another feather in his Hall of Fame cap.
Isn't he I think they're both the only guys who won the All-Star game and the World Series in both leagues, right?
That last job he took with the White Sox went so poorly, so fast.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know what the White Sox were thinking. Like, there's a reason they're a shit show.
I did give out 3 stars. Number 3, Derek Jeter for picking the Orioles to win the AL pennant with a World Series matchup where they would face the Phillies.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, that was on the pre or post game show. Number 2 star, Anthony Santander for technically scoring the winning run on Duran's game-winning go-ahead home run.
Mm-hmm.
And the number 1 star is the American League bullpen. No walks, 9 strikeouts, and 8 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, a win, 3 holds, and a save.
That's an impressive bullpen.
Any other takeaways from the All-Star game? Would you go to another one?
I would go to one if it was convenient, but I wouldn't like travel to go see the All-Star game. It was cool. I was glad to go to one. I did like how the Rangers Hall of Famers came out for the first pitch, and then they brought out Adrian Beltre in a horse-drawn carriage. That was funny.
Wow.
Did they show that on TV or no?
If they did, I missed it.
It was, yeah, so they had, I think it's all the guys who have a Rangers cap on in the Hall of Fame. So it was Nolan Ryan, Pudge Rodriguez, and Ferguson Jenkins. So I don't know if Ferguson Jenkins has a Rangers hat on his plaque, but maybe I spoke out of turn there. But either way, it was the 3 of them, and then they had this horse-drawn carriage like going around the warning track, and then Adrian Beltre stepped out to like join them as a Rangers Hall of Famer and threw out the first pitch.
I saw David Ortiz rubbed Beltre's head today when he went up to the podium.
Oh, he hates that, right? Wasn't his thing?
Yeah, he laughed about it at least, but
good.
Those videos are very funny when his teammates touch his head.
I think it was mostly Elvis Andrus who so I was at the O's Rangers game today, and they showed a clip of Beltre's induction speech in between innings. And he specifically shouted out Elvis Andrus, who was there at the induction ceremony. And I think he was the main culprit in messing with Adrian Beltre.
Does he still play, Andrews? I think he was on a team last season.
I don't think he does. Let me look him up.
I think he signed with the White Sox like late last season.
Yeah, he's not listed for this year. But yes, you're right. He played for the White Sox part of 22 and 23.
So, you got a Rangers preview?
The Rangers entered the unofficial second half of the season with a 46-50 record, 5 games behind the first place Mariners in the AL West. This was the second and final series of the season against Texas, with the O's taking 3 of 4 just a few weeks ago. And the Rangers have been scoring slightly below the league average, while they were a little better at not allowing runs, ranking 11th to the Orioles.
Yes, this is game 95, Friday, July 19th. Corbin Burnes versus Nathan Eovaldi. We get started in the top of the first. Gunnar reaches with a little flare over the shortstop's head to get things started. Rutschman's behind the plate and batting second. In 15 career games against the Rangers, he's hitting .315 with 5 doubles, 2 home runs, 6 RBI, and a .951 OPS. He'd get the second half of the season started on a high note by hitting his 17th home run of the season to right field in his 2-0 Birds.
In the same inning, Ryan O'Hearn would reach with a double, and then Colton Cowser hit another 2-run home run with 2 outs, making it 4-0.
Yeah, he pasteurized that one.
He did. He crushed that ball.
Yeah, getting Burnes 4 runs in the first inning is a key to victory, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, it was almost like you're, as a fan, just like cruising at that point.
Yeah.
Like I can go do other things because they're going to win.
Burnes is so enjoyable to watch. It's just a stress-free environment, even if the game's close. So to give him 4 runs. Bottom 2, Nathaniel Lowe. In his last 5 games before the break, he was 1 for 17 with 5 strikeouts, batting .59. But he hit a 2-out homer to get the Rangers on the board. It's 4-1 Orioles.
Gunnar would again single and get driven in by a 2-run home run in the 5th, with Anthony Santander doing the damage this time, and it was then 6-1 Orioles.
Top 7, Gunnar and Adley reach base with a single and a walk. Santander hits his second homer of the game, his 26th of the season, to break this game open 9-1.
Gunnar hit 3 singles and was driven in by home runs 3 times.
Typical leadoff man performance from him.
Yeah, right. Like Ichiro or something.
I stopped taking notes after that. That was the final score?
Yeah, 9-1. Burnes was able to escape first and third situations with 2 outs in the 3rd and 6th innings, but clearly no damage was done because the only Rangers run was on that home run by Lowe.
Yeah, I gave Burnes the 2nd star, another quality start. He walked 4, but he only gave up 2 hits, so that pretty much comes out even in the end.
Yeah, that was his most walks on the season, but 2 hits allowed in 6 innings is his 3rd best rate of the season. He had 1 start with 6 innings with only 1 hit allowed, and another start with 7 innings and 2 hits allowed.
Gunnar went 4 for 5, 3 runs scored. His batting average is up to .293, which is pretty impressive.
It is. He hasn't been hitting a lot of home runs lately, but if he's getting on base and people are just hitting homers, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to lead the team in home runs by the end of the season. I think it's going to be Santander.
It could. Are they tied now?
If they're not tied, it's just like 1 or 2 separating them.
Yeah. I mean, the entire top half of their lineup did all the damage. Besides Kauser, like, their first 3 batters had 8 hits, and the rest of the lineup had 3.
Yeah, that's not good. I had that noted for the next game because the bottom half of the order did pretty good there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Santander, number 1 star, 3 for 5, 2 homers, 5 RBI. His average is up to .243, which is pretty high.
That's like .293 for Gunnar.
Right. Yeah, and he's slugging .523. He became the 8th Oriole in history with at least 15 career multi-homer games. Sarah Langs provided the list. Do you want to try and name some of these?
Say it again. 8 Orioles with 15 plus multi-home run games.
Correct. And the list is the usual suspects.
I'm just going to go backwards, and I'm going to say Chris Davis.
Yep.
Manny Machado.
Yep.
Adam Jones.
Nope.
Oh. Cal.
Yeah.
Brooks.
No.
No. Frank Robinson.
Correct.
Boog Powell.
Yep. 3 more.
3 more. Jim Gentile.
No. You mentioned one guy earlier. Oh, 2 more. I was counting Santander.
Miguel Tejada. I didn't mention him earlier, but I thought of him.
Brady Anderson.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And Eddie Murray.
Oh, no shit. I should have said that.
Yeah. Oh, and Evaldi came into this start 5-0 with a 1.99 ERA and 10 starts at home this season. And they lit him up good.
They really did. All around.
They were only 2 for 3 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah. Well, you're hitting homers, it doesn't matter. You don't get guys beyond first base if you're just clearing the bases every time.
You have anything left on that game?
Nope.
Game 96, Saturday, July 20th. We got Grayson Rodriguez versus Max Scherzer, the young flamethrower versus the old flamethrower.
The old flamethrower was not throwing flames in this game. That's something I noticed for sure.
No, and I guess I'll get to this here. There's been some suggestions from people that the Orioles could trade for Scherzer, and previous to the start, I don't want any part of that. He's just too risky. The Orioles are in this mess of needing to trade for pitchers because of injuries. And Scherzer is too old. He can't stay healthy. He's just too broken down to trust down the stretch. I don't know why you would want to add another high risk option to the team when they've already had guys just flame out.
Especially if you're adding him and not adding someone else, because you're like, oh, we got Scherzer for our 4th, 5th spot, and then he gets hurt. Like, then you're just SOL at that point.
Yeah, he couldn't even stay healthy last season after the Rangers traded for him. They won the World Series in spite of him. He didn't really provide much to that.
Him and DeGrom both. They didn't do anything for that team.
I think DeGrom was at least 6-0 in his 6 starts, or the team was. So
right. He played till like the end of May or something, I think.
Yeah, at least those wins got them to the playoffs, but Scherzer really didn't do anything.
Right.
Even with the times they did trust him when they probably shouldn't have, he like betrayed their trust. He was not good in the World Series when they threw him out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this game starts with Jason Westerman. He led off the inning with a first pitch single. Cowser walked. Mullen laid down a nice bunt that Scherzer fired into foul territory. Westerman scored. Urias hit a 2 RBI single, and the O's were making this look easy and went up 3-0 on Scherzer.
Urias then moved over to third on a ground out by Henderson, but Santander later singled to score him, and that made it 4-0 after the top half of the second inning.
Yeah, after this at bat, Santander is 5 for 12 career versus Scherzer.
That about lines up with how the rest of the team was doing against Scherzer in this game.
Yeah, it was nice to see the Orioles bounce back after the break, because they went into the break just running on fumes.
They limped into the break, for sure.
Yeah.
The Rangers got 2 back in the bottom half after a single by Nathaniel Lowe and a double by Justin Foscue brought up Andrew Knizner with 2 outs. Knizner lined one past O'Hearn at first base to score both runners and make it 4-2.
Yeah, it took Grayson 29 pitches to get out of this inning. And then top 3, Mullins hits a solo home run. You mentioned recently that most of Mullins' home runs are no-doubters, and this fit the description perfectly.
Yeah, he hit that ball hard. This was off of Jose Urena because Scherzer was done after throwing 53 pitches in 2 innings. That was interesting to me. Has there been anything? Did anything come out about him being hurt or something?
I saw that Bruce Bochy mentioned that it's possible they might give him some extra rest before his next start.
Sounds like a guy you don't want to trade for.
Right. He's absolutely cooked.
Like, even if he was giving up a zillion runs, he gave up 4 in 2 innings, which is not good at all, but it's not that bad. And he only threw 53 pitches and just didn't come back out. Something's up there.
Yeah. No, Scherzer. They're not going to be able to trade him anyway. I don't think the Rangers are smart enough to make some trades this offseason, then this trade deadline. Because they're still set up for next season, fine, I think. But, they can do a little pivot here and start planning for next year, and I don't think they're going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The Rangers to me are like a decent but not that good team,
Yeah.
They got hot at the right time. They deserve the World Series, but I don't think they're that great overall.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that they're not back in the driver's seat of the AL West.
Right.
I'm surprised Houston came back though the way they have.
See, I'm not. They kicked the shit out of the Orioles. I was like, oh, they're still really good. And the Mariners, no.
Yeah, Mariners can't hit. Mullins' home run, he became the 8th different Oriole with 10 or more this season. That's the most in the majors. San Diego is next with 7 players at 10 or more.
It's good. You want to have that deep lineup. You don't want to have games so much like the one on Friday where the top 3 guys did everything. It's nice when it works out, but you can't plan on that.
Westberg hits a 2-out, 2-run homer in the sixth, 424 feet. Yeah, so that Westberg homer put him up 7-2.
In the eighth inning, Cianel Perez came on and walked the first two batters, and Yanier Cano came in with 2 on and 1 out. Wyatt Langford doubled to score Marcus Semien and make it 7-3 Orioles. Then Adolis Garcia grounded out, but Corey Seager scored, and it was 7-4. So at this point, I'm thinking, wow, I'm really glad Westbrook hit that home run because the O's bullpen is trying hard to lose this game.
Yeah, Perez was a disaster, and I think Hyde felt like he had to use his higher leverage guys coming out of the All-Star break when it would have been nice to use, the Brian Bakers, Natolis, and Burt Smiths in a game that was, pretty much in hand by the eighth inning. Then top 9, O'Hearn homered to take away a save opportunity from Craig Kimbrell, who pitched a scoreless ninth inning and struck out 2 to preserve the 8-4 Orioles victory.
O'Hearn hit that home run after being hit by 2 pitches in this game. So one of them he took right off the knee, I think it was. I couldn't really tell from my seat. I just knew he got hit in the leg, and he looked like he was in pain.
Yeah, hit him square in the knee, like while it was bent. It looked pretty painful. I was concerned that like something broke.
Yeah. From where I was, I thought it hit him in the ankle, and like there's no padding there. I was like, damn, that's something fractured, and that's not good.
He said he was available today, even though he didn't play, so hopefully.
O'Hearn to me seems like kind of a psycho. Like,
yes.
In a good way, that guy's, he doesn't give a shit. He's going to play,
Yeah, they're picking up his option for sure, I'd say.
I think, at least me, I don't know about you, but before the season, I was like, I don't know if O'Hearn's going to be good enough to get that option picked up, but I think he absolutely has.
Yeah, I definitely had some doubts as well. I wouldn't have been surprised. He's done nothing but prove people wrong since Baltimore acquired him. Baltimore DFA'd him after they acquired him, so they don't deserve like all the credit. Like they didn't know what they had either.
We'll just say it was those minor league instructors do a great job.
3 stars, the 7, 8, and 9 hitters, Cowser, Mullins, and Urias. They combined for 6 for 11 with 4 runs scored, 3 RBI, and a home run. Like you mentioned the previous game, they were combined 1 for 12 in the 7, 8, and 9 spots. Number 2 star, Jason Woodman, 3 for 5, 2 runs, 2 RBI, 1 home run.
I was like, who the hell is that?
Going back to Tuesday, July 9th versus the Cubs, that was the start of the disastrous homestand, and including the All-Star game, Woodman was 3 for 28 before breaking out in this game.
Yeah, that home run was clutch for sure.
Yeah, I'm running out of like names that make sense. I think they're just going to get more and more off track.
You start using the Spanish J like Jose.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, by the end of the season, it'll just be like Chase Smith or something. Grayson Rodriguez, he was at 54 pitches through 2 innings, but he settled down. He shut shit down after the second. 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 strikeouts, 8 Ks, 103 pitches, 70 strikes. That's the guy I saw in the minor leagues. Just high strike rates, great command. He was on it. 18 of 23 first pitch strikes. He's the first pitcher to record 12 wins in his first 18 starts since Sir Sidney Ponson in 2003.
I think Grayson's a good bet to not get in the shenanigans off the field that Ponson did. An interesting thing I found about this start was that Rodriguez struck out the side in his final inning, the 6th inning, all swinging. And it sounded familiar to me, so I looked back a few starts, and he did the same thing against Cleveland on June 26. Last 3 batters struck them all out swinging, which I think is really impressive at the end of your start.
Yeah, he's at the point where I think he's going to keep gaining confidence. There's no turning back.
Yeah. Also, I think you said 2 strikeouts and 8 Ks, which are the same thing. I think you meant 2 walks and 8 Ks.
Yeah, 2 walks. But yeah, the 54 pitches through 2 is like, oh no, we got this Grayson tonight. But
yeah, Yeah, I was doing the math in my head. I was like, all right, so he's on pace to be done by the 4th inning, and that's not good.
No, yeah, great turnaround by him. Cowser made a great catch. It looked like the Michael Jordan Jumpman logo in left field off of Odolis Garcia. That was a great catch. And
Yes.
Masson showed a graphic that this was Cowser's 10th 4-star catch of the season. I had never heard of that stat. Had you? 4-star catches?
I've never heard of rating catches by stars, no.
Yeah, I'm old. I still like RBI, pitchers wins, and batting average. So
Is that like a barrel for a hitter? A 4-star catch in the field?
yeah, it says a 4-star catch is a catch made on a ball with a 50% or lower catch probability.
Okay.
And Cowser is 3rd in the league behind Jacob Young of the Nationals, who I never heard of, and Gary Varsho's son, Dalton Varsho.
Okay. I've heard of Jacob Young. He was on my fantasy team early this year because he was stealing bases, but then he stopped, so I dropped him.
Yeah, you got to keep up them stolen bases. I'm in the middle. Bird Notice is in the middle of the pack of the On the Verge Discord Dynasty League.
Okay. Could be worse. Couple more things from this game. The Rangers hit 3 batters. They walked 9, and they had an intentional walk in this game. So that all added up to the O's leaving 15 on base and going 3 for 13 with runners in scoring position. So they should have won more handily.
Yeah, the intentional walk was to Kerstad, so that shows how much respect he's gaining around the league already.
And no respect for Westberg, and he hit a homer later in that game. I liked that.
The O's became the first American League team to reach 60 wins, and O'Hearn reached base 5 times, which tied a career high.
Great game from him for sure.
I picked him to be player of the game in the contest, but I think Woodman got it. So this brought us to Sunday. Did you watch this game?
Yeah, I was in the ballpark Saturday as well, actually. But Saturday I went by myself, so I got to sit there and really focus. I didn't even get up to pee until like the 8th inning. I just sat there and watched the game. But then today I brought my kids and we met some friends and we were more conversing and wandering than watching the game. But I didn't miss a whole lot as an O's fan.
You got to run the bases, right?
Yes, that was cool. That's something they told us when we walked in, and I thought, like, well, my kids aren't even 3 yet. They're twins, for people who don't know, but I kind of thought if they make it that far, it'd be cool to do, and we made it, and it was fun. I can't tell you the last time I was on a major league field. It's been a while.
Yeah, I've run the bases when they let us at Harbor Park. There was one night the game didn't end until like 2 a.m, and there was like 20 of us there, and they let us run the bases. And they took an overhead shot, and I knew I was in the picture, so I blew it up, and then they got me right as I was crossing home plate. It's probably my favorite picture of me ever.
Nice. Do you have it framed somewhere?
No, but you just gave me an idea.
Yeah, you should.
My wife is going to hate you now.
It wasn't my idea. It was yours.
Yeah, anytime you get a chance to run the bases, you got to take it. You can't turn that down.
Right. It was neat. They had, they had all these kids and their parents lined up on these ramps going down to field level, and then they just brought us out in the kind of the right field line, walked in the warning track to the first base, and ran around the bases and went out in left field corner.
In fact, you just reminded me that I was actually leaving Harbor Park that night of the late game, and they came on the PA and said, all fans remaining can run the bases. I turned around and went back and watched like the final 2 outs.
There you go. Yeah, I've never done anything like that. Like, well, actually, I shouldn't say that. So this is kind of a funny story. My dad probably remembers better than me because I was pretty young. But I got chosen at a Rochester Red Wings game to go race the mascot. I was starting on second base. I had to get to home plate before the mascot ran from some point down like the right field line to home plate. And it was for, I think it was a gift certificate to Tops, which was a grocery store there. Obviously rigged to let the kid win. I took off from second base and I just ate shit halfway to third. It's like fell straight on my face. And I got up and rounded third. And of course I won this race and got the gift certificate. But I'm sure my dad remembers better than me the exact details because I was probably like, I would guess like I don't know, between 8 and 10. But that was a time I ran the bases not so successfully.
Not triumphantly. Yeah. Me and my buddy got picked to do the leaf blower basketball game, and it had rained before the game.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, there's like 2 cones, and you blow a basketball with a leaf blower around the cones.
Oh, interesting.
And they picked us to do that, and it had rained before the game, and I slipped. Like, I was like horizontal, and I heard the crowd go, "Oh!" while I was like midair.
Uh-huh.
And so you said the mascot game is rigged for the kid to be win. I was at a Danville Braves game, Appalachian League. This is a long time ago. And they did the mascot race. And I was just expecting to watch the kid win. The mascot smoked him. I couldn't believe it. I don't know if it was like that all the time.
Cheap owner doesn't want to pay out to the fans.
Yeah, maybe. The kid was standing there on third base, like, seriously? Like, I couldn't believe it. I'll never forget it.
Who's that guy in Atlanta, Mr. Freeze, I think they call him? I love that.
Yeah, the Freeze.
He's probably like a college sprinter or something and gives fans a huge lead and then just crushes their dreams at the end. I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, the guys fall all the time.
Right.
After,
but I think they legitimately are like trying really hard and they just eat shit because they're trying to run so fast because they know they're going to lose anyways.
Yeah, they got a huge jump on them before the Freeze ever starts running.
Right.
Yeah, those videos are great.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, this was Dean Kramer versus Andrew Heaney. Gunnar Henderson was not in the original lineup. Urias was in the early draft. This is trade season, so it looked like Urias might be on hug watch until it was revealed he had a sore neck.
Yeah, well, I don't think he would have made a difference in this game. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, not much here today. Dean was going pretty good until a couple of walks in the fourth. Then Jonah Heim capitalized with a 3-run homer to put Texas up 3-0. Heim was 1 for 17 before this home run.
Is that the same number that Nathaniel Lowe was earlier?
Yeah. The Rangers were scuffling a bit.
Yeah. In the 8th inning, though, the O's got on the board. David Robertson walked Adley Rutschman and gave up a 2-run homer to Santander to pull the O's within 1, 3-2.
Yeah, Robertson's probably a good candidate to get traded next week.
He's been around forever. I always forget about that guy, and then he's just on a roster somewhere. Like, oh yeah, he was a Yankee. That's how I remember him.
Yeah. I think they said it was the 16th season.
Wow.
But yeah, that was it. 3-2. Rangers avoid the sweep. Heaney owns the Orioles, I think. This was his 14th consecutive start of allowing 3 or fewer runs, but all he has to show for it is a 4-10 record.
Yeah, I had that note written too. He was 3-10, but a 3.79 ERA coming into this game, which is a good example of a win-loss record not telling the entire story if you're a starting pitcher. Or relief pitcher like Mike Baumann last year.
Yeah, I don't want to see Andrew Heaney anymore.
No. Another thing I thought was interesting was that all the runners who scored on the 2 home runs that were on base got there via walk.
Oh yeah. Kramer looked good until those walks happened, and it was just kind of over for him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it for that game. That was a quick one.
Yeah, it was a quick, relatively boring game.
Yeah. Nice Sunday chill.
Right. Yeah, we've won 2 already and can take a loss, I suppose. I'll have some ice cream, dollar ice cream sandwiches on Sundays at the Rangers. Got a couple of those.
Yeah, I went to the Tides doubleheader today. DL Hall started game 1. I can honestly say I don't miss DL Hall.
How'd he look?
It's the same old DL Hall. 2 2/3, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 1 strikeout, 26 strikes on 49 pitches. I think the Brewers would be wise to maybe flip him if they can before other teams catch on. This is the second year in a row where he's missed the bulk of the summer returning from an injury too.
I was going to ask, is he rehabbing or is he just in AAA now? Because 49 pitches is not many.
Yeah, technically they had him listed as a rehab, but I was looking at his stats. He's pitched 8 games in the minor leagues for the Brewers this season.
Hmm.
So I think he's had 2 rehab stints now.
Okay.
I think DL Hall will be lucky if he can be like a Tanner Scott. I think the Josh Hader comparisons are just wishful thinking.
I think he sounds more like a CNL Perez to me right now. It's a dude who
Yeah.
has good stuff, and he's a lefty, but he doesn't throw strikes.
His fastball was topping out at 94, 95.
See, that's lower than I would have thought for him.
Yeah. Yeah. It was cool seeing him pitch against the Tides, but same time, if I'm a Brewers fan, I'm not excited.
Did the crowd like give him a nice, not an ovation, but like some applause at least?
No, there was nobody there when this game started. It was scheduled 4:00 start time, but the game got pushed up till 2:00 because of last night's rain out. And yeah, it looked like I had to park to myself for the first hour and a half.
Nice.
Holiday is back in the field, so that's good to see. Kobe Mayo, he's been playing a lot of first base lately, and many people have rightfully questioned his throws from third base. Well, today he made a throwing error from first base that directly led to 3 run scoring.
Oh. Where was he? Was it like a double play that he was throwing to second, or?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was at a tough angle, I'll give him that, but the ball still went into left field.
Right.
So,
well, I mean, he's known for his bat. It wouldn't surprise me if he was just a first baseman in the majors.
I'm glad to see. I think they finally realized that third base isn't going to happen because he played both games of the doubleheader at first base today, and usually they mix things around during doubleheaders.
You know, I wonder, I don't know if he would be more valuable as an outfielder as far as just scarcity wise, but I think on the Orioles right now he wouldn't because they have so many young outfield prospects that first base might actually be better as far as a dude in the minors that's not on the current roster who can play first.
Yeah, I got the sense the reason why they kept pushing him at third base was because they wanted to make it happen. Just for the exact reasons you're talking about.
Right.
And then Justin Armbruster was disappointing again. I've had enough of this dude. He walked 3 in 2 innings.
I know you hate that
He
guy.
was, yeah. His box score today doesn't look as bad as he really was because he got bailed out in the 2 innings he pitched by great defensive plays. One was a great snag by Vavra. I like Vavra as a Tide. I don't want to ever see him in Baltimore again, but he's a great AAA player.
Yeah, some guys just, that's kind of their ceiling.
He hit a bases clearing triple in Friday night's victory.
Nice.
And then I have some notes from the stat sheet that they make available on the concourse.
All right.
I made a bunch of edits to these because there were so many good notes on this one today. So this one is titled Extra Mayo. In his 24th multi-hit game of the season, Kobe Mayo went 2 for 5 with a double and a run. The 2-bagger marked the 100th of his minor league career and 67th extra base hit of his Tides career, which is 128 games. Mayo also ranks first in the IL in slugging percentage, 602, third in OPS at 983, and is tied for third in home runs with 19 and extra base hits at 39. And that's with him missing like 5 weeks with the rib injury.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's dominating at the plate at least.
He is 3 doubles away from breaking into the top 10 in the International League as well.
Sounds legit.
The next one is titled Hometown Hero. In his Harbor Park debut, Chesapeake native Colin Selby struck out 2 batters in a 1-run 9th inning to earn the save. He is the first Virginia native to earn a save for the Tide since Garrett Stallings.
You've talked about him before. Not
Yeah, I
too
was
long
hoping
ago,
to see
I
it.
feel like.
Yeah, we mentioned Selby because the Orioles added him last week.
Right.
Stallings was traded to the Brewers earlier this year for Vieira, the guy they waived, who has he has an infinity ERA with the Orioles. He's not doing too bad with the Diamondbacks now, though.
Of course.
This season, 8 different Tides pitchers have collected a save, led by Brian Baker's 5.
Okay.
And the last one is titled Walkin' in Norfolk. The Tides combined for 10 walks last night, the 10th time this year they've worked double-digit free passes in a game. Norfolk is now 7-3 when drawing at least 10 walks. Led by Jackson Holliday with 73, the International League leader in walks. The Tides have drawn 456 walks this season, the second most in the league behind Worcester.
10 times with 10 walks is a lot.
Yeah, a lot of that's Holliday drawing like 2 and 3 walks a game too. And the Tides are 10-10 in the second half of the season. They do that weird split season thing where if you win the first half, you make the playoffs.
Oh, right.
They'll be home this week against the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. Hopefully I can make it to a couple games.
Do they have a good chance of making the playoffs or no?
I don't think so. They finished the first half 45-48. That's how they made the playoffs last year, was because of the first half clinching. They don't have the pitching. Their pitching is abysmal.
Yeah. That's a bummer. You'll always have the 2023 Colton Cowser MVP AAA championship game.
Yeah, with the Xbox to show for
it. Right.
Did you give out a player of the week this week? I almost forgot.
I did. I don't know. We probably have the same one because to me it was pretty obvious, and that was Anthony Santander. He had 3 games against the Rangers, ended up with 3 homers and 8 RBIs. He's also the only Oriole in the All-Star game who got a hit with a single and a run scored. So he was my player of the week.
Yeah, he would have been my pick, but when I thought of this, I saw a post congratulating Jim Leyland, and I grew up in the Pirates market in the late 80s and 90s, so I was happy to see Leyland make the Hall of Fame today. I didn't know if he would. So I'm just going to read Jim Leyland's plaque.
All right.
A master strategist and motivator, galvanized youngsters and veterans to lead 3 different franchises to the postseason and win a World Series title. Debuted as manager with the Pirates in 1986, guiding rebuild that resulted in 3 straight NL East crowns from 1990 to 1992. After 11 seasons in Pittsburgh, melded a reassembled Marlins team into world champions in 1997. Over 8 seasons at the helm of the Tigers, piloted team to 3 first-place finishes and AL pennants in 2006 and 2012. Winner of the Manager of the Year twice in the NL, 1990 and 1992, and once in the AL, 2006. And I thought of this, I'm going to say with the guiding rebuild line on his plaque, the start of his managerial career kind of sounds like Brandon Hyde's start to his managerial career.
Interesting thought. Would you say Gunnar is Barry Bonds?
Adley is the Bonilla?
Yeah, there you go.
We could do this for a couple of minutes.
I don't know enough Pirates from that era.
I know too many. Doug Drabeck would be the Corbin Burnes. John Smiley would be the Dean Kramer, I guess. I don't know who would be the Grayson. Maybe Wakefield.
Okay.
He came on hot. I think this Orioles team would be better than those Pirates teams, to be honest.
I really like those old Pirates uniforms with the script Pittsburgh, the road uniforms they had. I thought those were really nice.
Yeah, the Pirates are a cool organization. Hopefully they can get their shit together sometime.
And it sounds like under their current owner that might not happen.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll probably trade Skeen soon. Ooh!
Right.
This is perfect. You'd think we plan this, but we really don't. I borrowed this time for the shared mailbag. I borrowed this question from the On the Verge Discord mailbag, but it was submitted by me.
All right.
So I'll ask you. And I only made this question because a couple people were like, this is a good question. And I realized I made like a better topic for their podcast than I did ours.
Mm-hmm.
And I do want to hear Nick, Bob, and Zach answer on this because they are, the minor league experts. So here's the question. With the Orioles front office propensity for drafting position players over pitchers, if the Orioles had the number 1 pick in the 2023 draft, would they have drafted Dylan Cruz over Paul Skeens?
Because
I think they would have.
I don't know. Maybe Skeens if they saw what he's currently doing and were like, oh, this guy could help us almost right away. I don't know.
Yeah, I want that. I want to ask Elias under like truth serum.
That's what I would say. I would say if they knew what Skeens could do, and I doubt anybody thought he'd be this good this quickly, but if they had an inkling, they could be like, this is a super good way to get like a cheap young arm in the rotation, and that's really what they need, more so than an outfielder.
Yeah, an insta ace. I just feel like they have their processes and they're kind of stuck in their way a little bit. I think they maybe should have at least thought about taking a pitcher this year, just because I feel like the organization has been kind of exposed this year with their lack of pitching.
That is certainly their Achilles heel.
But yeah, that's my answer. I'm going to say they would have taken Cruz over Skeens.
Current Rochester Red Wing, Dylan Cruz.
Ooh.
They're finally getting some good players in Rochester from the Nats. They had James Wood until he got called up, and they also called up Brady House to Rochester a week or two ago, who's a big prospect. So it's nice that they're getting some good players because the Nationals have been kind of miserable lately.
Yeah, when I went to a Fredericksburg Nationals game 2 years ago, Brady House was all over their media guide as like,
oh yeah,
top draft pick Brady House is currently on Fredericksburg Nationals.
Right.
So that takes us to the Quistores.
All right, what do we got this week?
It is All-Star related because we're coming out of the All-Star breaks. I went with the low-hanging fruit. Who played in more All-Star games? When given 2 options, could you pick the player who played in more total All-Star games in their MLB career? It's only 12 questions with 3 minutes.
Ooh, okay. So I think before we start, we should err toward the old guys because they used to have multiple All-Star games, as we've discussed.
Yeah,
And
like the pre-70s guys.
otherwise, it's just probably a measure of remembering how long each guy played.
Tom Glavine or Greg Maddux? 10 versus 8.
Maddux.
Nope, it was Glavine. Brian Fuentes 4 versus Fernando Rodney 3. I'm going to say Rodney.
No idea.
Up is Fuentes. Reggie Jackson's 14 versus Winfield's 12. That's tough.
It is tough. I feel like Winfield played longer, but I don't know if that's true.
I'm feeling Winfield. Nope, it's Reggie Jackson. Eric Davis is 2 versus Kirk Gibson 0.
Ooh. Was Gibson a catcher?
It may be early in his career, but he was an outfielder for the most part.
So I feel like Davis had to have made at least one.
Yeah, I think I see him, and yeah, it's Davis. Edgar Martinez 7 versus Frank Thomas 5.
It's got to be Frank Thomas.
Nope, it's Edgar. George Brett or Mike Schmidt, 13 versus 12.
Toss up.
I'm going to say Brett. Yep. Johnny Bench, Carlton Fisk, 14 versus 11.
I feel like Bench was better overall, but Fisk also played forever, I think.
Yeah, I think it's Bench. Yep. Molitor versus Yount, 7 versus 3.
Oh. Say Yount.
Nope, Molitor.
Man.
Randy Johnson versus or Pedro Martinez, 10 versus 8. I think this is Randy.
No idea.
Yep. Pedroia or Chase Utley, 6 versus 4. I think this is Utley.
Sounds right.
Yep. Bagwell or Tomey, 5 versus 4.
I would have thought both of those guys played in way more than that.
Yeah.
I would say Tomey just because he played so long.
Yep, Tomei. Andre Dawson versus Dale Murphy, 8 versus 7. I think this is the last question.
No idea.
I'm going to say Dawson. Yep. That's it. 7 to 12. So we started out slow and then we were like Grayson start on Saturday night.
I know we were 0 for 3. I don't know if we got the fourth one, but that was tough. It's
that
also
was
weird because All-Star games, like, part of it's a popularity contest. The other part is being named because somebody else got injured. And so it's very hard to actually know that.
Yeah, I've overdosed on like All-Star information this week.
I was surprised Robin Yount and Paul Molitor was such a gap. I figured Yount playing shortstop in the 80s. Maybe I should have known that it was Cal Ripken because the Brewers were still the AL back then. But
yeah, that was a surprise. I think Molitor, he benefited from the DH too.
Is that what he played most of his career? Was he
by
a
the
DH?
end of his by the end of his career, he was a pure DH for the Twins and the Blue Jays. For sure.
What did he play when he was younger? Was it? I want to say he was like a third baseman, but I don't even know that.
Yeah, third base.
Okay.
Not that I saw a lot of it.
Yeah, I'm Googling him now. Well, Googling as in baseball referencing. Let's see. His standard fielding throughout his career, he had 1,169 starts at DH, 786 at third, 392 at second, 196 at first, and then a handful in the outfield and at short.
Wow.
So he kind of played everywhere.
Yeah. He's from the Minnesota area.
He's from St. Paul, went to the University of Minnesota, got drafted by the Brewers, but of course played for the Twins later in his career.
Yeah, I was just reading something about how many great players are from the St. Paul area because of the Joe Mauer.
Right. He went to the same high school as Joe Mauer.
Yeah, and Winfield's from there. There's another 2 guys. I think they're in the Hall of Fame as well.
I'm looking at Molitor's stats. At the end of his career, he had a season where he had 9 homers and 113 RBIs. That is a weird stat line. You never see that many RBIs Jays? With so few. No, that was his first year with Minnesota.
Okay.
That's actually only the second time he had 100 RBIs. The first time was in 93 with Toronto. He had 22 homers and 111 RBIs. But 9 and 113 is just weird to me.
Yeah, you don't see that too much anymore.
Right.
Because now they probably would have batted him like leadoff or second.
Yeah, looking at his on-base percentages, he would have been pretty high up.
So that takes us to Media Corner. You watch anything good this week? Or read anything?
This morning I finished my book about the 86 Mets called The Bad Guys Won. I liked it. Interesting story about the team, and a lot of it was like the human interest side. They had one big brawl that 4 players got in Houston and got sent to jail for the night. That was interesting. I did not know about that. I feel like Mets fans probably do, but I didn't know. That was interesting. I also got the new college football game for PlayStation a couple of days ago.
Oh, is that good?
I've only played it for like 2 to 3 hours last night, but I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Started your Heisman campaign?
Yeah, I made myself the offensive coordinator of Syracuse. I'm going to try to make them good and see if I get hired to like a big time job after that.
Oh, yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I watched the movie Unfrosted this weekend, the Jerry Seinfeld Pop-Tart movie.
The Pop-Tart movie.
Yeah, I hadn't heard good things, but I wanted to see it for myself. I do love the Seinfeld sitcom. About 20 minutes in, I was like, this isn't that bad. And about 45 minutes in is when I was expecting it to wrap up, and I saw I was only like halfway through. And then I noticed I kept checking the time bar, and it was only 5 minutes passing every time I would check it. And then I fell asleep with about 20 minutes left, and I woke up to Seinfeld finishing up a dance number as the credits came on the screen, and there's no way I was going back to see how that finished. It was not good.
Yeah, that's bad when you're checking to see how close the end is and it's halfway.
Yeah, I really can't say anything good about it. I guess the cast was good. It seemed like Seinfeld called in a lot of favors, but I bet when they were filming, they were like, "What the hell is this?"
Right.
Because it was bad. I'm still digesting like how bad it was.
What was it rated, like Rotten Tomatoes or any of those?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see what I did want to see that actually on Letterbox. Oh, 2.1 on Letterbox. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of 2s, 1s. There is a 3.
I've never heard of Letterbox. Is that like a popular movie site that I'm unaware of?
Basically anybody can make movie reviews on there.
Okay.
It's it's well done.
Rotten Tomatoes, and it has a 51% audience score.
That seems high. And oh, we'll end on this. I want to give a shout out and a thank you to Jake and Scott over at the Bird's Eye View podcast. They released their 12th annual Bevy Awards today, and they were kind enough to invite us for the second year in a row. Last year, we gave away the award for people we'd rather invite to our birthday party before Kiki Nakin. We gave it to the Mass Arbitration panel.
Yes, you're right. Good memory.
Yeah. This year, we gave away the award. You know what? You're going to have to listen to it. Listen to it if you want to hear what award we gave away this year.
Yes, everyone go check that out.
I'll just say that we closed the show.
That's like the best picture. Isn't that at the end of the Oscars?
Yeah, we're the best picture of the Bevy Awards.
There you go.
But yeah, very cool of them to acknowledge our existence. They're kind of a big deal. They didn't have to do that. I'm sure if you found us, you've heard their show before.
Most likely.
And that's it. You got anything else?
No, the only thing is that the O's next head down to Miami for 3 games before hosting the Padres back at Camden Yards through the end of this week. So a couple NL opponents and hopefully some more series victories.
Yeah, it's cool seeing Machado on the graphic for the upcoming Padre series.
Yeah, Baltimore's probably like the only place Manny goes and doesn't get booed, I would imagine.
Yeah, I don't love him like a lot
I'm
of
a
other
fan.
Orioles fans do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan, but I don't hold him in like super high regard. I do like I can't even say I do realize like he's an all-time great Oriole at the same time, but I don't know.
He was so good. Like right now he's like kind of washed up and he's still like a 30 homer guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought the Padres would have been wise when he opted out or threatened to opt out before the season. I believe it was last year. I was thinking, don't re-sign him if you're the Padres.
Right.
Like you already got the 4 or 5 years you wanted out of that deal. Don't double down.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not our problem. I mean, the lack of anybody in that trade is our problem, but oh well.
Welcome back, Manny Machado. Yeah, t-shirts at birdlandsports.com, and thanks for listening, everybody.
Yep. Take care. Go O's.